What's up? It's your boy Bobby Sapphire. It's 7 a.m. on a Saturday, and I am podcasting with the KTOD. Good
Let's
morning.
go.
Good morning to my boys here. Justin, how's your weekend
It's
going?
a zany morning, man. You don't even know what day it is. What's going on?
Oh, it's Sunday. Jeez. Yeah, I mean,
Easter, baby.
I used to be a morning
Easter.
person until mornings beat the life out of me. And then we got two Massachusetts local draft champions in the podcast. Maddie Gem with the Plains Pod champion.
Yep. Yeah. Plains Pod champion here. Just wanted to tell you, Tarkin Yellow, get out there, draft those ISB agents, swing in with 710 ISB agents. You'll have a good time. Loving it.
And then the champion of the Forest Pod, Stevie Getz.
Yes, what up, what up? Honestly, though, Maddie, I don't know if you can be called a champion after you refuse to play me the fourth round.
That's a scoop.
Well, there's two different the technicalities I can't get
refuse.
into,
I will say this, when the owner came over and he was like, all right, so best of 3, 4 rounds. Steve was like, absolutely, like yelled in the store.
Like,
He's like, absolutely effing not. I will walk out of this store.
I was like, I am not spending that much time here.
4
It just
rounds
doesn't
for
make
draft?
sense.
Well, he
too,
wanted
for
to
a
have the two
draft.
pods winners play for the championship.
Oh.
And
he
then-
wanted to
So,
do it.
Steve, that's your own fault, I
But
guess.
Steve was like, I didn't think I would win.
It gets better,
4
too.
rounds. is brutal.
Because I was like, we shouldn't be playing best of 3. Like, we need to play best of 1. Like, that's such a waste of time. And everyone's like, why? I was like, dude, the only way I'm ever going to beat Mike is if I get a best of 1 and I get a little lucky, and I'm good.
And
So then, sure enough, I immediately lose game 1 of the first best of 3. Just
And
immediately.
just ranched everybody
completely-
afterwards.
Completely trucked. Yeah, that was the only game I lost.
That was actually
I
the
had-
same for me.
And yeah, you
Was
didn't think of the other way
Yeah.
you
No
could
way.
avoid losing to me, which was just dodge me all tournament.
That's true. That's true. Although my deck was dirty. I think I could beat you either way.
I would have liked to see, because I had some good stuff too, but I could not beat. Steve did the one thing I couldn't beat, which was beat a Boba ECL draft deck with multiple Steadfast battalions. So
Yeah, Mr.
Oh, my.
Standard
Standard tech.
yeah,
I'll Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I was loving my draft. I was mono yellow after pack 1 and planning on using Boba Fett, but then I opened a home 1, and was like, oh well, this is the signal I need to like pick a leader, and I went Leia, and I kind of regretted it the rest of the way. She just kind of didn't do anything all game. Like, she's good, but she didn't do anything for my deck. Whereas like Boba's way more pushed.
It gets
Yeah.
me thinking that we should, if people want draft content, hit up the chat in this video and tell us, because we don't have a ton.
No, but we
Yeah,
Steve and
I
I
saved
also
my deck.
recorded. Yeah, Steve saved his deck to do a little video. We could do a short about that too.
Yeah,
Potentially.
short
Yeah.
would be perfect because
Um,
draft content's kind of not popping off.
But Steve
Not
and I,
always.
Steve and I did record Winston draft, the 1v1 format
Ooh.
that we want to introduce to people for Magic. So we're excited to check that out. It should be a fun video.
So technically, I was
Winston's
2-0 yesterday.
Well, I'm
Double
sure.
champion.
Steve,
Maddie, that's
Steve is
one more
crushing the
than you.
numbies.
Maybe don't
Steve is-
spoil. Maybe don't
I
spoil
am
the
yet to not come in
videos.
first place at a local, so I'm okay with where I'm at.
Yeah, he's just not counting the pre-release, but sure.
Oh, wait, actually, yeah, Mike beat me. Oh my God, turn 4. Yeah, I repressed that memory. He absolutely slapped me at the pre-release, but he had more experience at the pre-release, so it's kind of caveat.
Oh my God! Really, you're going that route?
More experience?
Wait, Justin.
He has
Justin.
his 7th pre-release.
Justin. Matt at dinner said, "What? You
More
don't think?
experience is wild.
You don't think I'm a good loser?" What did he say, Steve? I don't remember. I was like, but I spit my drink on the bartender. I'll say
No, he
that.
said he goes, I don't mind losing. Like I'm fine with that. I don't always have to win. And I was like, what? Almost spit out my
Yeah,
drink.
I'm not a good loser, but I'm working on it.
Literally the week before, he was trying to explain to locals how he would much rather lose to them than any one of his friends.
All right, I rescinded that comment.
right, all right.
I've done my mea culpa here. You can't bring that up anymore. Once I've come out.
All right,
yeah.
let's move on. So today we're
Let's move
talking
on to
about
our content.
we launched a Patreon today, and we'll get into it in a second. Because I'm sure if you didn't just close the stream, you might want to hear why. We're going to talk about the 1K results from this weekend. There were 3 1Ks. One of these things is not like the other, though. So We'll talk about that in a second. Some upcoming events, and then we've got Q&A from our subs.
I just want to shout out the Hyper Numpties for coming out in droves for the Patreon launch. That was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, so I guess that's as good a time as any to say, like, we launched a Patreon. The idea of the Patreon is to create a competitive community in Discord. The reward right now is the Discord. It's Discord access plus access to our deck list, our playtesting conversations with us and with members of the community. And yeah, as Matt said, like, we haven't posted this far and wide. This is like our official announcement, but we're already up to we had 69 subs last I checked. Nice. And most of them
72 now, though.
Well,
sad.
There's a couple like free
without
subs that that aren't actually in the Discord, but
Right.
You can like free sub to a Patreon. You don't get anything, but I think you get like notifications.
Yeah, look at the button.
It's like subbing on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then so as events start ramping up, we're gonna be playtesting a lot in the Discord and posting updates to lists, things like that. Things that aren't gonna come out when we make 3 YouTube videos a week. So like, people are already asking. Like, someone messaged me yesterday and was like, I've been playing Maddie's Iden and I'm not winning the Boba matchup. And he was playing the Iden from Matt's video like 6 weeks ago. And in card games, that's like a different generation, So that's something that we're going to be doing and updating. We think there's a lot of room for content for. And, we've already had a huge influx, like I said, or like Maddie said, a lot of Hyperloopers. So shout out to those guys who've, continued to support from the Destiny days. And we had a bunch of Star Wars CCG players, who Justin and Steve have, been a part of for the last 25 years. And I don't know, do you guys have anything else to add?
I just wanted to jump first, kind of going off of the launch, first night we had, I don't know, close to 20 people in the chat where we were streaming games. People were watching, talking about them, but that's the idea of, you talked about the Iden list being behind. We will stream our playtest games and you'll be able to see kind of what we're doing and why and our perspective. So I think that's very valuable.
Yeah, the very first night we had 18 people watching,
yeah.
Just hanging out, watching the playtesting. And we're going to get into what the tiers get you and the rewards and stuff. But first, I wanted to give away one of these con exclusive Luke Invaders. So I said that after 50 subs, I would take the first 50 and spin a wheel. You guys aren't going to see this.
I have the 100 sub prize right in front of me.
That's right. I'm watching the prices right anyways.
I'm trying to get the Wheel of Names. I have the Wheel of Names up. I might just have to edit
this.
Yeah,
can you stream it?
Yeah.
This or no?
So you guys can't see it, but the people watching on YouTube can see it.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So I'm spinning the wheel.
Oh, I hear it. Ooh.
Oh, can you really hear it?
Yeah.
All right, and the winner is Nelson Gibson II.
Nelson Gibson II. You just
Congratulations,
won.
Nelson.
You just won. All right, you won, and then he'll pick either the Vader or the Luke, and and then I'll give out the other one at 100, and then I know Justin wanted to give something out at 100 too.
Yeah, I got this bad boy, little shiny guy.
Oh yeah, I should show
Shiny
you.
Vader.
Really see it. I got the glare on, but shiny Vader. Unfortunately, he does have a border. Sorry, guys, you're not getting the greatest one, but foil Vader for 100 subs.
I need that for my set, Justin. How about we?
Yeah, I now need 4 Vaders somehow. So
and then down the line too, I think the idea is we'll have some more kind of custom KTOD stuff, but for right now, these are some cool swag that we can give away.
Yeah, so we're getting some stuff made. So we got 2 tiers. The one tier is the access to the Discord, and we're gonna post videos early, deck lists early, all the live streams, all the normal stuff. And then once a month, we'll drop a couple deck list updates. If you're on the $6 tier, the Kashyyyk Operative tier, you get the deck list whenever we have them. If you need a deck list and you're like, do you have a list for this? We'll give it to you. It might not be as tested as some of the ones that we publish, but if you are looking for a list and wondering where we're at, that's what we're here for. So you basically get anything you want whenever you need it. You have a tournament coming up. I need a list. Can you drop one? you got it. And then after 3 months of subbing at the $6 tier, we're gonna send a care package. I don't want to give away what we're doing, but I guess like we decided we're definitely gonna. I don't want to say definitely, but like most likely gonna be a shirt and a custom item for the game table, maybe 2. So when we have those confirmed, I have some meetings set up this week. We'll post those. But yeah, if you're interested in supporting us, even if that's not necessarily what you're looking for and you're just looking to support the pod, feel free. But that's all.
One thing real quick about it, just about the Discord, just super inclusive to everyone. You've got the sort of reunion of the Hyperloops. But if you feel like, oh, I wasn't part of that, no, come on through. We've got a whole bunch of new people too. There's a lot of varying skill levels. I was answering questions about, some really basic things. Maddie and I are pretty active in just like hitting up everyone. Mike, you had a pretty busy weekend, and I know Steve doesn't interact with the numpties, but no, even Steve, he's in there too. He's got good energy. So we've really got like good energy.
Steve was streaming playtesting Saturday morning.
Right.
And
like,
he opened the box live.
On Friday.
Yeah, he live streamed a box opening.
Yeah, we did a live stream of box opening.
Justin raised a good point though. Like just because we're competitive, like we want everyone to get better, no matter if it's your first time playing or you're booked 1,000 games. So like anyone should get in there and
this isn't
Maddie
like old
just
boys
doesn't
club.
want us to get better.
For sure. That's a really good point. The whole idea of creating a community like that is like this is a community that's striving to get better, and we all enter at different levels. But having a community of people who are experienced and are competitive help bring you up.
And the good thing about having the onboarding with like, shout out again to the Hyper Numpties, is like that was such a thing in Hyperloops that's carrying over. Like no one's gonna tear anyone down. Like we're all rising together, and if we see any BS, they're getting kicked.
Oh yeah,
out,
you're gone if you're like really negative.
I think the rules channel is everyone here has opted into.
Later then.
The rules channel says everyone here is opted into getting better. Don't be a jerk, and that's the extent of
that's
the
what
rules.
you need to do. We'll use the versus system rules.
All right. Well, we had 3 1Ks this weekend. The largest was the Wisconsin 1K. It had 38 players. The top 8 was Blue, Grand Inquisitor, Iden Green, 2 Boba Greens, Sabine Green, 2 Vader Greens, and a 30-point Hound. And the finals was Boba v. Boba. Anything surprising here for you guys?
So I did not go to draft yesterday. So I was actually just hanging out, and I've been getting over a pretty nasty cold. So I was looking at some of the content. This one had the 3 1K things kind of going up. This one seemed to me like, okay, another Boba sort of not dominated tournament, but it's like, okay, Boba won a tournament. Boba in the finals. Similar. We haven't talked so much on the pod about the British event with 8 Bobas in the top 8, but this was sort of like Boba. Like what I mean, like Boba Green. It dodged the Vader and the Iden, which not totally sure what the matchups were in terms of did the Sabine knock out the Iden, so on and so forth. But someone expected these 6 decks, 8 decks sort of make sense, and 6 different decks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to see 8 Bobas in top 8s.
Yeah,
much anymore. Like that never really happened in Magic, or even like when you have a defined best deck. Like
never.
That was sort of an aberration.
What I think the problem is with Boba though, and not necessarily, like it goes with what you're saying. Yes, I don't think you're going to see 8, but the problem I find with Boba is it suppresses like the random deck. Like this Green Han deck was probably pretty saucy, but like any of those like random brews you're trying to make, it feels like Boba just pushes those back down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely gatekeeps a lot of the random meta that like could be good, like the Blue Grand Inquisitor.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like it's not being talked about much, but we have shout out to Justin's video dropping soon. Like Churret, right? Just an example. Churret's a great fringe strategy, but Boba it can't be Boba, so it's gonna it plays whack-a-mole with some of those decks. I see that.
Oh, it can't beat Boba. That's like part of my chapter. This is the best deck for Boba. Stay tuned for the new video dropping this week.
That I don't have. So there you go.
Share it 2.0 video dropping this week. Very excited to share it.
I did order myself
a matchup against Boba.
The cards that I needed to complete a Blue Grand Inquisitor deck. So I'm excited to try that as my like new local deck. Kind of moving off Chile onto the Blue
base is interesting.
Grand Inquisitor. Yeah, I agree. I think I think I would still go the shield base because it sort of leans into Inquisitor's ability popping off a little more and being more combo-y and aggro. But yeah, I mean,
The shield base
got to
seems
credit
really
this
good.
guy for rising to the top. And yeah, this is a much healthier top 8 than the London one. And we were going to talk about the Boba meta thing, but like I actually deleted it from the list because I just didn't think it was even worth talking about because it seemed like such an aberration. And one of the things that we have seen from these streams is that people are still getting acclimated to playing this game at a high level. So
100%.
And Boba's also really good at doing that because you only have to play pretty good for 3 turns, and you can pretty much put yourself in a solidifying winning position.
And like not for nothing, he comes out on 5, maybe an earlier turn with ramp, and he's a 4/7. So like there's just an inherent power there that can kind of help you out if everyone's still learning the game. Whereas like, talking about earlier the Iden Boba matchup, you really have to have a game plan and know how to attack Boba as a deck, and if you don't have that game plan, he's gonna roll.
Yeah,
and how many people are playing like ground two drop into Boba and being like, cool, this seems fun. It's like the guy drinking coffee, the dog drinking coffee in the burning house, and then all of a sudden Super Laser Tech comes out, and it's like Boba's out, Bosca's out, 3-drop Boba's out. You have like, a red 3 out. It's like, what just happened? Versus, wait a second, if you could actually sort of foresee some of these things happening and see the lines, Boba does diminish a bit when you're like, wait a second, don't just give it don't lay up its amazing turn. It can still do a lot of those things, but sometimes you have to like really stay disciplined and be like, yeah, I've got this amazing hyperspace foil, Sabine to lay down, but you're like, wait a second, no, I'm gonna play this green A-wing here instead. Because I understand how this pattern has evolved.
Yeah, Steve. That's how Steve beat Kyle yesterday in the draft. Really, like game 1, he went 3 ships to space on the first 3 turns, and we had a pretty space light draft, so not everyone could do that. But when he had 2 arcs and a patrol craft, like I looked over and I was like, oh well, those things aren't getting ECL steadfasted. That's nice.
No. Once I saw what his deck was doing against Mike, it completely played around it.
There you go.
Deploy your leader.
And that's great to see that skill does, like, we talk about deck lists a lot in games, and you say, like, oh, this deck versus this deck. But it's great to see that, like, the pilot is what matters. That's what makes a game really great long term.
Right.
Not just lists bashing.
Right. I agree. That's why, like, my need to, like, see lists is much diminished. I like to get an overall idea what a deck is trying to do, but then, like, we got to figure out how to pilot it. There are plenty of decks that I've thought were bad in many games until I seen it unlock for me from somebody. So,
100%.
Shout out to Loopee for covering this one in Wisco, Loopee from Late Night Stream, and also Inception for sending all this information earlier in the night. Many bots died to bring us that information.
Nice.
Many bots. It's crazy.
So we got the other event, 32 players. This one was capped at 32. I do think that if it wasn't capped, this probably would have been like closer to a 50, 60 person event. So to see it capped at 32 was kind of a bummer. You see the top 8 there on the left, and this is different than the last format where like we actually have the top 8 matches. So Green Iden, Han, Green, Red Tarkin, Sabine ECL, Krennic ECL, Vader Green, Boba ECL, Palp Red. 8 different decks, which is always cool. So
that's cool.
Good sign of a healthy meta. And then Sabine and Palp faced in the finals after defeating Krennic and Iden and Krennic respectively. And Sabine ECL takes it over Palp I'm not sure who the winner Sabine player was, but I know the Palp player was Scott from the Golden Dice podcast, who hosted the event and streamed the event along with the Saga podcast. So shout out to GDP and Saga for streaming that. I'm sure the VODs are on YouTube, and you can check those out. Maybe I'll try and find them and add them to the show notes too.
And our Discord has a robust chat of talking about this event because we were watching it live. And there were some wild things happening in this top 8. The Han list was Super Laser Tech for 5.
All right, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna talk about
we're getting to that later.
Let's talk about the top 2 that are on the screen.
Oh, the top 2, the ones on the screen. I mean, I think Sabine's prime for it, right? Like we've kind of Sabine's probably been like Boba's been dominating, and I think Sabine's probably I don't say underperformed, but I think it's been a little bit less oppressive than people thought.
Mhm.
It's certainly there, but you see like 30-point bases, and you see all this stuff, and you're like, maybe that's like tech for Sabine. It's maybe been over teched on the onset, but I think Sabine's primed. I don't necessarily. So maybe this is a controversial take. I don't think I went into it thinking that Boba is like better than Sabine. I'm starting to realize that maybe Sabine is sort of this hidden monster right now that's going to have a run over the next few weeks, and we're going to see a lot more results like this.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think that there's some assumptions people make, but if you, and like talking about earlier, like if you know how to navigate the matchup as Sabine, I think that the win percentage, is a lot closer than people think when the Sabine Boba matchup. It's just kind of about getting those reps and understanding the play patterns and how to deal with some of the things Boba does. Like you can't always just attack their base. Sometimes you have to set them up so they can't barrage you or, whatever, or don't set up their ramp. So there's different ways that you can combat the Sabine. So I think Sabine's still a great deck. And then obviously if it sees Palp in the finals, it's pretty happy because Palp is just slow.
Yeah, and this, we were going to talk about the rock, paper, scissors part, but I realized it would just come up naturally when we talked about this. But like, there's definitely a clear rock, paper, scissors situation going on, and like there are variants of it. But like, people responded to the big Boba meta with a lot of control in this top 8, and the Sabine snuck in somehow. Like not somehow, but like I don't know the whole standings, but there's one aggro in here, and it faced a Boba,
right,
and like pretty much all other control, and then took it down.
Yeah.
This is really close to the KTOD version that we posted way back when. He's cut Pathfinders and moved U-Wing reinforcement into the main deck. I've been like using the Bright Hopes in the main in that slot, and for the 2 of and the U-Wing reinforcement in the sideboard, but I'm surprised to see the Rebel Pathfinder cut because it's a card that's been pretty good. I think.
Yeah, he's a Chewy mage. You're going to be happy to see that cut from list, I'm sure.
Most of the cuts that I've seen people make, and I'm kind of behind, are the Freedom Fighters cut because you have so many 3-drops. And but I guess if you're main decking U-Wing reinforcement, you are looking to do like a Fighters for Freedom with a couple cards to burn for 3 at some point
to hit it. Yeah, I like keeping it in with the U-Wing, but I see that. Yeah, I mean, I like Pathfinder a lot. Like Saboteur is pretty good, but I also like that they brought in the U-Wing, seeing that they'd probably be facing more control. I think U-Wing is really good in that. It's got to be in the 60, definitely. It's really good with that deck, giving you that extra gas when you kind of run out, which helps you against the 30-point bases.
It's also sick to pull a pod plus Spec Force Soldier if you can pull that off.
That's nice. That's
sweet. I think there's a low to the ground one maybe that it sort of might need to resurface though, with like Fighters for Freedom. This one has Fighters for Freedom, but like it just has a little bit, because I feel like the sort of top end, like if Iden is, or for instance, or like a big Boba is facing U-Wing, it's sort of like, okay, we've gotten to our sweet spot, and you obviously want to finish it off, but I don't know. I feel like that those last 2 cards in the bottom right, the U-Wing and the grit 6-drop, it's like Boba's and Iden are sort of happy to see those type of cards in a sense, because it's like that's the point where they're playing Vaders and stuff like that.
The only issue with that in this game is like it's so easy to dispatch a 2/2, right? Like you play Benthic or something, and like, oh, my Death Trooper not only kills your 2/2, but then it still kills the 3-drop that you played. So like, it's hard. There's just not too many 1-drops.
There's not ways
wide
to
that
get,
stay alive.
I actually found U-Wing to be a little problematic sometimes against Iden. Just like, you've kind of felt like you've dealt with their threats. Your hand is starting to diminish because you've played a bunch of things out. And if they are able to re-up with the U-Wing, it can...
Yeah, all of a sudden they got 3 units out, ground space.
But I agree on the 6-drop.
I've been working with trying to figure out a list with Black One and just
refuel
how that interacts with For a Cause.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that's for another day.
You can do that in Han and just dump your hand.
Mm-hmm.
How's this? Subscribe to the Patreon, get in the Discord, and you can ask Justin all about it. Booyah.
Yeah, there's some really cool math with Black One.
Yeah.
With Han and other things.
Underrated right now.
What do you guys think of this Palp list? Green, red Palp, with some Force users, but not leaning into the whole like Force throw plan and just sort of having a solid curve.
I'll say this: I'm excited to see a Palp up making the top 8. He's probably one of the decks that I've tried to play around with, but it just never seems that great. Like I've gone mono green, tried that, did the green blue. That green blue list you had yesterday, I thought was actually really strong, where you mopped me up.
Yeah, that was Woo's list. I was just testing it out, seeing what I liked and stuff.
Shout out to Woo. He just posted a video on that list that we just talked about. So go to Woo's YouTube channel.
Oh, he did?
Check it out.
About Blue Palp?
He dropped it yesterday. Yeah, it's like a unlimited control something.
I think the red's pretty interesting.
My 5K
because it gives you the direct damage or the burn to like removal that like the mono green list that I didn't have. And it gives you a little bit more of an aggro plan if you have to go that route. But I don't know. I don't really love Oswald on this.
Yeah, I like when Palp came out, that was the first thing I did was blue, but I want to explore red more, and seeing this list is giving some ideas. I know Oswald feels kind of not great, but just being an official, with that red removal, if you are ever able to take initiative and drop like a 7 sister untapped, is pretty insane.
I like Oswald.
I get the 30-point base, but like one of his strongest things is Palp is the ping Tarkin Town. So
agreed.
That's the only thing where I'm like, maybe you want that, and then working the deck in a certain way, like a top end reinforcement walker to maybe heal to help you out.
I do love the 2 red ships though.
Rufus Raider Interceptor.
Yeah. Like,
so good.
They're probably my favorite reason out to play red, and why I was playing red with that Vader.
Oswald has a really nice interaction with Interceptor too, where like if they're on a space plan and they attacked with like an A-wing and they still have red 3 up, like you can Oswald in your Interceptor and kill the thing that they were gonna untap. You know what I mean? Like he can kind of get you around sort of like some of the problematic plays, but like one of the things that we've been doing, and I guess people are checking out Woo's video, they'll see is like in our control decks, we've been playing Snowtrooper Lieutenant for a while, just to like make it so some of these like low attack guys can trade, which is something that I would probably consider if I'm starting.
I mean, it's so good off Vader,
right?
Like,
it's a little less good when like you have to work so hard to get everything dead. And like when you do it in Iden, she's out with a shield on her to protect her. Like you're not really getting that in Palp.
Yeah. No, definitely. And the one thing I was going to say too along those lines, like Iden has this where you deploy her in barrage. Like Palp, sometimes you got to be mindful of your barrage because you're sacking guys, or against Sabine, you're doing a lot of trading. So just finding a way to keep someone afloat to do a barrage is like I was watching some of those matches, playtest matches, and like there's barrages just sitting in hand that aren't being used. So like
I think
that's something this deck needs to figure out if it's.
It's crazy how many 1-ofs this deck plays.
Yeah, it's a lot of 1-ofs.
A lot of 1-ofs.
Yeah, toolboxy.
Also, like, I don't know how it beats, like, Boba or Iden, like, post-board. Like, you got the 2 Devastators, but, like, other decks are bringing in so much top-end. Like, if you look at some of these lists, their sideboards are, like, Relentless, Devastator, and then go up, like, 3 the Reinforcement Walkers and Change of Hearts, and it's, like, you're going to be just outclassed. I actually think this deck, lost to Sabine 2-1. It's actually sort of decently suited with a 30-point base and so much removal against the Sabine, because like you get to turn 7 and it's like, okay, cool, like I won.
Yeah.
Whereas like Boba, you can sort of see that Boba turn being pretty rough for this deck. Like Boba's gonna have probably 2 5-cost units and a 3-cost units and sitting on a barrage, and you're like really kind of up against it. Versus like, okay, you're able to trade an early ground unit, shoot an early space unit versus Sabine, and then like, figure something out. This, I feel like you're going to actually get outclassed by the other sort of mid-range to control villain.
Yeah, I mean,
decks.
I didn't see the games or anything, but it did 2-0 Boba in the top 8 round. It has a bunch of Sentinel that it can like maybe use to stabilize a little bit.
I think he just wants to ramp hard, like
Yeah.
mull for ramp. Don't give him any, like you said earlier, Justin. Like, don't give him anything. Don't play your nice hyper foil to get beat up, and you just ramp and then.
Don't play probe droid to see.
Yeah.
Super laser tech. Oh no.
All right, let's talk about those other lists that are in the top. We're not going to talk about them all, but I wanted to shout out the Han list that Justin just wanted to talk about. I also wanted to shout out our boy John Lawley for making top 4 with Krennic Green. That's his list up there too.
Yeah, so, I'm glad, Lawley. I'm glad you stuck with Krennic. I know you're having a crisis a little bit, but you stuck with it. You had good results.
John Lawley had a deck list crisis. I don't know. He told me he was locked into Iden 3 months before the event. Just kidding, John. We love you.
Didn't he break it on like week 2?
Yeah, he said he broke it in the original stream.
He broke it. He playing Gift of Boats Mirror Galadriel.
That's right.
Broke.
Love it. Yeah, let's talk about this Han list though.
So Super Laser Tech, Justin, you said that they were keeping the secret. They didn't want anyone to know about Super Laser Tech Han.
Yeah, they posted that this was sort of something they held for the event. Very unique list. I mean, you see. Super Laser Tech is obviously the one that stands out at 5. They were talking about you can resupply on turn 1,
right?
And then ECL Super Laser Tech on turn 2, and actually play Han on turn 2. Like flip your Han on turn 2 is like their Magical Christmas Land.
That's kind of wild
deck. I mean, obviously you have to have both of those cards and a ground target for the Super Laser Tech to come in and ambush. But it's somewhat unique. I mean, I will say this: the sneak attack is good. This is as close to sort of like, I don't want to say a combo deck, but I do like the sheer bulk. Like if you look at, you've got Steadfast Battalion, Traitor, that line continuing to the right, Home One and Reinforcement Walker. It's not just like trying to have 7 resources on the turn 5 turn. This is like pure ramp. I mean, it is pure, like unadulterated ramp. There was the game on stream. So this lost to Iden in the first round, but the game was like the bottom cards were played in a row for like 6 straight turns, and the Iden player was like playing Avenger and Devastator and Relentless, and it was just this absurd train of like legendaries coming out and 10 resources paid, 8 resources paid, 9 resources paid.
That's wild.
But
so the Han deck just kind of drew it just drew poorly at the end. Like it didn't have the.
I don't know if it drew poorly. Okay. I wasn't locked in exactly to like everything. It seemed like the game had sort of the Iden player had stabilized and had the villain cards are so strong at the end.
Yeah.
But people were commenting like a sneak attack would have been. Kind of brutal at any moment. There was one spot I think the Iden player was just dead to a sneak attack. So, trying to sort of value out some of these cards is interesting. I'm not sold on the Super Laser Tech for 5. Like I think that's a bit much. But he's got some interesting cards. Like he's got the Ambush 4-drop Space Unit and Bright Hope. You imagine that against like Sabine's got to be pretty impressive. He was doing some nifty things. Like I watched he U-winged in a Leia and a Bright Hope and bounced his Leia and then tapped a second thing down, and it was fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I like the other things that stick out to me that like I don't 100% love are the Ozatut gunship, although like I appreciate the need for like some ambush space. But maybe not a 3 of. I don't think the Akbar's doing a lot because we don't have a big early game. I think like one of the things you can do with like sneak attack potentially is like sneak attack a home 1, bring in Fleet Lieutenant and immediately attack for 9, heal 2. Like,
yeah, that's pretty cool.
It seems like and like if you just gear it a little bit more towards like a traditional rebel version of this, you can sort of open up a little bit more broken plays. Like also, we've
Falcon's kind of crazy.
I actually like the no Falcon. I think Falcon can be a trap a lot, especially like if you're playing it early and it's tapping you down, and you're not like disciplined and bouncing it and stuff. I've seen that kind of like ruin games. But I definitely like Fleet Lieutenant still in some number, and like I don't know.
Sentinel ground guy seems good too.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, I guess if you're leaning all in on ramp, that's great. But there are aggro games where you don't want to do that. Like,
yeah.
I've actually talked about this in the public Discord, and like gotten a lot of pushback on this, but like Battlefield Marine Echo Base Defender against Sabine goes a long way towards not getting overrun. So
I'll tell you one thing: the U-wings in this are like really awkward. I mean, obviously U-wing to get a Han is like it's U-wing to get a Han, but like, what are your combinations here? Like Akbar and another guy.
Akbar
but
and
you're
two
almost
guys,
never
but
going
like,
two guys. 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
have that many two drops.
it's the traitorous. You know, you do have the gunship, right? So you have the Oztec gunship plus a 3-drop. Excuse me, to like.
That's probably what he's
hit.
doing a lot. Like,
But
probably hoping
I
a three
agree.
drop.
It's probably like a little unfocused for a ramp deck. Like it doesn't know what its best late game play is. Maybe. But like the traitorous just don't fit to me. I guess if you're like double ramping, you can just take their best thing and that's fine. But then maybe you don't want the U-wing. You know, I just think like it's a great idea and could probably be focused. And good job on them for making the top 8.
Yeah, and I'll say this: I said this last week for our own internal thing. The London Boba deck not having No Good to Me Dead in the main is like opened up some of these more fringe strategies. That card's really oppressive against Han. And the fact that you don't necessarily, you're seeing less of it, that's good news for the Han mages.
Yeah, agreed. And then we got, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I've been playing a good amount of Green Han in testing. Like, I agree with you, like, maybe less Azatok. In home one, like, grabbing an Echo-based defender can be huge in the fleet. So, like, good on him. I actually like Traitorous in Han a little bit, but I've been playing the 30-point base. But yeah, just it's close. I think this is a cool list, and I would like to see what we kind of meld it into.
I like the Traitorous in Han. I think like it's possible that someone needs to say like, okay, if we're doing Traitorous, maybe we don't have like the U-wing reinforcement because we don't have a bunch of stuff to pull with it. It's more that I think Traitorous is a good card in this deck. It's more like you know, like say what you will about the Han 7 deck, but it's got a focus strategy. It wants to do this one thing, and I just think this thing is being pulled in a couple different directions where I'd like to see the sky's the limit on it. Really,
I agree with that.
Han is like it's a bad word. I don't want to say it, but he's trying to attract the off-color stuff. He's selling himself for the off-color between Casino Han and now. Super Laser Tech. He's the one deck where you're seeing these like off color.
Yeah,
exactly. He's got a little nasty in him.
All right, so Lolly's Krennic deck, our boy, still rocking the ATST. Like it's you know, this whole set hasn't been spoiled yet. I love it. And 3 main deck Relentless, just being like, you want to play control against me? I don't think so. Thoughts here? My biggest thought is like I want more reinforcement walkers, but.
Yeah, I like, you know, against if you're expecting control, Relentless is your guy.
Yeah, 3
there's
is
like
just so
this
many.
weird. Yeah, I agree. I would probably have played.
Just move one of those to the reinforcement walker spot.
Yeah, reinforcement walker is so good.
I love
this is kind of what I was talking about,
especially with Piet.
Yeah,
this is kind of what I was talking about with the like that Palp deck. Like, I think I'd rather be Krennic in this. Like if those two decks are mashing up, like there's just you have Avengers in the board, you've got Change of Hearts, Relentless, you've got just so
the
much
Change of Hearts fire for 8. I thought that's kind of a cool little tech there because you can afford to pay 8 for that for sure in that matchup. Strike True is kind of interesting with Gideon too.
I don't mind the Strike True with Gideon, but like there's no takedown in here, and I would never play Strike True over takedown, and there's not 3 power.
No takedown. It's one of wow.
No.
And power the dark side times 2.
Yeah, so those are the biggest things, and like so I think the idea here is like he's playing a Krennic deck with a lot of units, especially, but like he should be 3 Gideon then, so you really lean into the Gideon thing.
Yeah,
but like he wants to remove his things with units, and he wants to attack, and like that's all well and good, but like Strike True relies on you having a unit that can go big, and like anything that these units can take out early. Takedown can also take out. So I think finding some way to fit those in and have like play the best cards in your color, like that's why we're blue, right? It's like for takedown basically. So
takedown and power. Yeah.
I just don't see a world where I'd play Strike True over takedown, but like 3 takedown, 1 vanquish, 1 or 2 Strike True, like that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I do love Vader to pull Piet. and start the shenanigans with ATSDs and walkers and relentlesses and stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But if I had Piet, I'd almost want the Avenger instead. But I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, cool list. Good job by Lolly.
Good job, Lolly.
Yeah.
Not too much to say.
No. You guys have anything else to add?
No. Let's go.
No.
All right. There was one more 1K, which like literally was not
12-person
posted.
1K?
So they didn't post it. Like people found out on Wednesday or Tuesday this week that there was a Washington 1K, and like a bunch of people were like, "Wow, I wish I knew. Like I have plans, or I can't find a babysitter on 48 hours notice, or things like that."
We should have flown out, Justin.
So
We should have went.
it was a 12-person event. I didn't get any other information than this. I don't have any lists or anything. I don't know how much we want to say about a 12-person 1K, but it was a Boba mirror in the finals. And looking at those lists,
Boba mirror. Steve, if we
makes
had went to
sense.
London, just imagine, like the world would be a different place right now. Like the
It
meta
would.
would be different.
So many more
Yeah,
people would be
yeah.
playing Blue Cheer It.
Yep.
Iden would be certainly, I think, probably played more.
All right, so
We should have went. I didn't have it in me
We
after
should've
Italy, though.
Yeah.
Maddie, you've got some Patreon questions for us from our
Yes,
subs.
another perk of being in our Patreon is we have a channel where you can submit questions for the pod. So I'm just gonna grab a couple here. First one is Chirrut tier 1? And why haven't people realized it yet? From Sussy Bread.
Can I
So
take
I
that?
think
Go ahead, Justin.
yeah,
You're the
I think
Cheer It
Justin
expert.
should start it
So
up.
here's what I will tell you. I don't think the blue is necessarily top of the food chain. It's very fun. I'm really glad people enjoyed the deck tech. It's a great deck to take to a local. That being said, I do think that Chirrut has an avenue to be tier 1. New deck tech coming this week. And
Spoiler.
it's the one deck that, with a leader out, can get around the Steadfast Battalion Boba interaction, because you can actually come out of that turn with your leader, and their leader's gone, and Steadfast is gone. There's a few pretty common play lines that allow you to do that. So the fact that it attacks the meta in a different way.
Nice. I think the biggest thing holding back Chirrut is Sabine, probably, and I would say that like as we get into like when we enter set 2 and there's like big events every week, like store showdowns every week, it's going to be one of those things where you're going to pick like, is this the week? You know, we're not going to have it necessarily for these decks, but when you know Sabine is on the decline, that's like when you probably want to like pick up Chirrut, I think.
Controls tough. I would gladly face Sabine
Over control?
and never play Power of the Dark Side. That card is absolutely brutal.
Takedown plus power of the dark side. I guess is
takedown
like,
stuff.
Brutal.
I've played a lot of Aggression Chirrut as well. I played at locals. I've tested with Woo, who has like a really good video on it. So I say it's like just like 1.5. Like it's just dips under. But like Justin said, like you have avenues. Like Force Throw is insane. I would rather face like an Iden than Boba until I learned Justin Sweet Tech at his video, because like you can do the Force Throw with Boba. You can use the the heal to like take the damage off and kill Steadfast after he popped you for 7 and still live, stuff like that. Like there's those avenues, but you need to like have it. Iden, you can attack her hand with like the K, stuff like K2. We have a gameplay at Chirrut versus Iden coming out at some point where it was pretty close, and I think if I played a little better, it could even been Chirrut's favor, but that's a spoiler for a video in the future. But I get it's one of those avenue decks where you have to find the angle, and then you can really get under the radar, and it is under the radar right now. So I think
it's under the radar, and
really
people
cool.
aren't like talking about like mulligan decisions and stuff like that with it, where like Boba, it's like mulligan for ramp. Sabine, it's like mulligan for a 2-drop or whatever, multiple 2-drops, so you can lane change. But like Chirrut, there's some interesting angles there, especially in specific matchups, where if you find sort of a groove, you can continue to get some value in that groove. So yeah, I'm excited to drop the deck tech this week and interact with questions and stuff like that.
Nice.
That's a really good point, though. Like just real quick for another question, like certain decks are getting all the focus, and we're like, we have all the meeting of the minds figuring out the matchups. But like, here's a good one. Like, I've been jamming this Vader Red list in the Patreon, baby. Actually, I have a video on it too. But no one else is, a few people have been interested, but like, we don't have all eyes on this deck. Now, I'm not saying Vader Red is gonna be top of the food chain or anything like that, but like, Cheer It is one of those decks where I don't think all the eyes are going into it. Where like maybe I watched Justin's video and I figure out, oh my god, I wasn't doing that in the Boba matchup, or I was resourcing weird or whatever. Even some of Woo's advice, and he's got a good video on as well. Like, I started making some changes to my resourcing decisions, and it unlocked an extra power level. So definitely
level 1 of Mike's Tears of Gaming.
Yeah, I got to shout out to you. Can watch that video, but yeah, I bumped up from level 0 to level 1 in that regard. What do you think? Just one more question, Mike?
Sure.
We were getting close to an hour. Okay, so
no, we're at 45,
a lot of other good. Okay, so maybe one or two then. Here's one that actually, so we're gonna do two. One, maybe Mike, you've been testing with this. What is the take on Grand Inquisitor? Any decks that are being thought of with that, like just a general Grand Inquisitor question, strength, power.
Yeah, I mean,
avenues that you see.
Woo has been trying to like break Grand Inquisitor for, I don't know, 2 months now. He's tried all the different versions. We just saw that blue one make the top 8 in Wisconsin. So I like that one personally. I'm gonna build it to start playing locally. The thing about Grand Inquisitor is, like, if it sees a Tarkin town on the other side of the table, like, it's going to feel really bad. So I don't know if it's ever going to be tier 1, but it is going to be one of those things, like, if you pick the right weekend, it could be really, really good. It's really fun, and it's a deck that people certainly don't know how to play against, myself included sometimes. It's, like, really tough to see all the angles that they're going to take to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also sneaky stuff with, like green, where you can ramp into the Grand Inquisitor flip a little early, and you don't have to worry if they didn't go ground.
I found the sneak attack yellow version was pretty saucy too.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
I think
there was a few games where I really thought I had it locked up and stabilized against them, and then it was just like sneak attack the ship and take four, and it's just like
sneak attack Ruthless Raider is just always going to be good.
Yeah, that thing's insane.
Yeah, you think you're safe, and then
with his ability is just so
right, because then you're actually taking 8 with 12 with a sneak attack Ruthless Raider, basically. No, not
GI is fun. It can kind of break the game where, like, if your opponent tries to, like, because we always play this initiative game a lot. Like, if they take the initiative thinking they're locked up, and all of a sudden, you can like just win the game out of nowhere.
Sneak attack a Ruthless Raider, do 12. It seems really good.
Yeah. I think they'll get better with set 2 once there's more cards out too.
Yeah.
More interactions.
Yeah. All right. Final question. What is the 3-week early prediction on the winning deck at the 5K coming up in Florida?
Well, it was going to be Blue Palp, but now everyone knows about it. Woo posted his list, so my secret Woo list is out.
Are we going? Right, that's the question. Are we going or not?
Yeah, because that's going to influence my decision. Are you going?
I'm going.
Okay, Mike's going. Anyone else? I can't go to that.
Where are you? When is it?
April 21st in Orlando, Florida. It's a Sunday.
I could probably pull that off.
All right, I'm gonna.
Did you look at
flights? It's a good flight from Worcester to Orlando usually.
So
I found one day event.
Yeah, we'll talk about it after. But I'm flying out Saturday night, flying back Sunday morning.
Monday morning.
I know days. I swear.
So I would say, I'm gonna go out there, and I think my girl Command Iden is gonna take down the Florida 5K.
All right.
Calling my shot.
Sabine.
Sabine's good.
I like winning, so I'll say Boba.
I'll still say
proof serum.
I'll still say I'll say Blue Grand Inquisitor.
Nice. All right.
Oh boy.
Let's see who is right there.
Oh God.
Hey,
where are we at with our card prediction contest? When does that pop?
We're already at an out. I'm doing that next week.
Okay.
But it won't
It's coming up.
Emergency-
The cutoff
emergency
is soon.
podcast.
It's March 8th. I'll probably announce the winners previously. I got to do a lot of math. Not a lot of math.
Oh
I gotta.
boy.
I don't have to do a
looking
lot of
good.
math. I have to do a lot of copy and pasting into Excel. How's that?
I hope he's using Excel.
All right, that's 50
Mike's like writing
minutes.
formulas.
I know how to write formulas in Excel.
Wait,
All
can we
right.
do an outro real quick or what?
Go
Or are you
ahead.
cutting it?
As long as it's not about the Patreon again.
No. Just thanks for watching. Stay tuned.
Oh yeah, I was gonna do that. Jeez.
Oh.
All right. Thanks everybody.
Come on, man.
We'll
Some people aren't built for 7 a.m.
we'll see you on the tables.
Later.
I need another coffee.